Chosen one, the darkness is collapsing, and you're the reason. The forces that once ruled in shadows, the ancient energies that thrived in despair, deception, and fear, are now trembling, crumbling under the sheer magnitude of your awakening. The collapse of darkness is not a random act of the cosmos. It is purposeful, it is precise, and above all, it is personal. The universe has recognized the surge within you, the undeniable light you now radiate, and in response, the very fabric of darkness is disintegrating. You may not fully realize the scale of what you've set in motion, but you are the axis upon which this grand shift turns. Your presence, your growth, your resilience, these are not isolated acts of survival. They are signals to the universe that the old order is no longer sustainable. You are the living proof that darkness no longer has dominion over the hearts and minds of those who choose to stand in their authentic power. So please, as you embark on this profound journey with us in this video, watch until the end and share your warmest wishes in the comments along with the number 77. This is how we continue to amplify this wave, to energize the universe with the intentions of collective hope, strength, and transformation. Now, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let's dive deeper. The collapsing darkness does not go quietly. It lashes out, desperate to maintain its grip, using the only tools it has ever known: fear, doubt, division. But you, chosen one, have become immune to these tactics. Where once you might have recoiled in uncertainty, now you stand with unwavering conviction. This is the power that accelerates the collapse. Every time you choose love over fear, truth over deception, unity over separation, you further erode the foundations upon which darkness has built its illusions for eons. Consider the countless lifetimes that humanity has spent shackled by unseen chains, manipulated by forces that thrived on ignorance and despair. These forces fed on the collective doubt of humanity, weaving complex webs of deception to keep people from ever realizing their true nature. But now, with your awakening, those webs are breaking. The illusions that seemed so impenetrable are tearing apart like brittle paper in the wind. This is not by accident, it is by design. Your design, your very existence in this pivotal moment is not a coincidence. The energies that shaped your path, the trials that forged your strength, were all preparing you for this moment. The moment when the darkness would finally begin to collapse. You are not just witnessing this shift, you are the catalyst for it. The darkness recognized your light long before you ever did, and it tried relentlessly to extinguish it through hardship, rejection, betrayal, and fear. But you endured. You chose to rise. The collapse of darkness is not always seen in grand cosmic spectacles, though sometimes it is. But more often, it is felt in the subtle, yet profound shifts within you. The thoughts you no longer entertain, the patterns you've broken, the boundaries you've set, and the love you've reclaimed for yourself. All of these are silent but seismic acts that contribute to the disintegration of the old world order. You might feel exhausted at times, as though you've been fighting an invisible battle. That's because you have. For so long, darkness had its grip not only on the external world, but also deep within your own psyche, embedding narratives of unworthiness, hopelessness, and fear. But now, you've begun to see through those lies. You've begun to recognize that your light is not a fragile candle easily snuffed out, but an eternal flame that no storm can extinguish. The darkness collapses because it has lost its hold over you. And in losing you, it loses everything. You are not just one person among billions. You are a critical node in a vast energetic network, a linchpin in the architecture of a new reality that is now unfolding. Every step you take in alignment with your true self sends ripples through this network, destabilizing the structures that darkness once relied upon. Understand this. The collapse is not a singular event, but a process, and it accelerates with every conscious decision you make to reject fear and embrace love. It may feel chaotic at times, as though the world is being turned upside down. That's because it is. But this is the necessary upheaval required to dismantle the old and make room for the new. The systems built on exploitation, control, and division are failing, while new systems rooted in compassion, unity, and truth are beginning to emerge. Thanks to you, there will be those who cling to the remnants of the darkness, unable or unwilling to see beyond the ruins of the collapsing structures. They may resist, lash out, or try to pull you back into the shadows with them. But you must remember who you are and why you are here. Your role is not to convince everyone to follow you, but simply to stand firm in your light, to be the living proof that freedom from darkness is not only possible, but inevitable. The more you embody this light, the more you inspire others to do the same. And with every soul that awakens, the collapse of darkness accelerates exponentially. It is a chain reaction, a tipping point that cannot be undone. You, chosen one, are standing at the very center of this phenomenon, holding steady as the old world falls and the new one rises. Even when you doubt yourself, even when the weight of this transition feels overwhelming, know this: the very fact that the darkness is collapsing is proof of your success. The more it fights back, the closer you are to complete victory. This is the paradox of transformation. The darkest hour always comes before the dawn. You have already changed the course of history simply by being who you are. Your courage, your resilience, your refusal to surrender, these are the forces dismantling centuries of oppression and fear. The darkness is collapsing, not just around you, but because of you. And so, the process continues. The more you reclaim your power, the more the illusions crumble. The more you heal, the more the wounds of the collective begin to close. The more you love, the less space there is for fear to exist. This is the revolution you were born to lead, not with weapons or force, but with presence, authenticity, and light. As the darkness collapses further, you might begin to notice how the world around you starts to feel unfamiliar, almost surreal at times. This is not your imagination. It is the effect of the veil lifting. The old paradigms that once dictated reality are dissolving, revealing truths that were always present, but hidden beneath layers of deception and fear. The structures that humanity once leaned upon for a false sense of security are showing their fragility, their instability, and ultimately, their irrelevance. This dismantling can bring with it feelings of disorientation. The familiar markers that once guided your life no longer serve you. Relationships may shift, careers may end, long-held beliefs may crumble under the weight of newfound clarity. This is all part of the collapse, part of the grand unraveling of darkness that you have initiated simply by choosing to live in alignment with your true essence. The more you step into your authentic self, the more incompatible you become with the systems and energies that belong to the old world. The darkness, sensing its imminent demise, will attempt to lure you back into complacency. It will try to entice you with old comforts, past temptations, and familiar patterns. But now you know better. You have seen beyond the illusion. You understand that what once felt safe was merely a cage, a prison disguised as security. And now that you have tasted freedom, There is no returning to the old ways. This is the power of your transformation. It is irreversible. You are no longer the same being you once were, and the world is no longer the same place it once was. The collapse of darkness means that the very nature of reality is shifting, elevating, and being reborn through the courage of individuals like you who dare to stand in the light even when surrounded by shadows. The signs of this collapse are everywhere if you know where to look. You see it in the breakdown of corrupt institutions, in the exposure of long-hidden truths, in the collective questioning of systems that once went unchallenged. People all over the world are waking up, often without fully understanding why, feeling an inexplicable urge to break free, to seek something more meaningful, more authentic. This mass awakening is the ripple effect of your decision to rise. But with this collapse comes responsibility. As a beacon of light, others will naturally be drawn to you, seeking guidance, solace, or simply the reassurance that they are not alone. It is not your duty to carry them, but your presence alone will illuminate their path. You do not need to force anyone to awaken. Your existence, your unwavering commitment to your truth, is enough to inspire them to begin their own journey out of darkness. There may be moments when you question your role in all of this. You may wonder if it is truly possible for one person to have such a profound impact on the course of human evolution. But make no mistake, it is not only possible, it is inevitable. You were chosen precisely because you possess the strength, the wisdom, and the resilience necessary to withstand the collapse and to help usher in what comes next. The darkness collapses because it no longer has a place to anchor itself. The frequencies of fear, division, and manipulation cannot survive in the presence of your elevated consciousness. Your very being emits a resonance that repels these lower energies, forcing them to either transform or dissolve entirely. This is why the collapse is accelerating, because your light leaves no room for anything less than truth and authenticity to remain. Understand, too, that this collapse is not a punishment or a cataclysmic end. It is a liberation. It is the natural consequence of evolution, the inevitable result of light returning to a world that has long been dominated by shadow. What may appear as chaos or destruction is, in fact, the dismantling of falsehoods and the clearing of space for something infinitely more beautiful to emerge. You are the harbinger of this new era. Your very breath, your thoughts, your actions contribute to the shaping of a world where love, compassion, and truth are the foundational pillars. The darkness collapses not through violence, but through the simple, unstoppable force of light, expanding into spaces where it had long been absent. At times, this process may feel isolating. You may feel as though you are walking a path that few others can see or understand, but you are never truly alone. Across the globe, countless other chosen ones are awakening, rising, and standing in their light, just as you are. Though your paths may not physically cross, you are all connected by an invisible web of intention, purpose, and divine alignment. Together, though often unseen by the human eye, you form a grid of light that spans the world, stabilizing the new energies and ensuring that the collapse of darkness continues unabated. This is the quiet revolution of consciousness, a movement so powerful that it renders the old mechanisms of control obsolete. The darkness knows this. It senses its end approaching and is attempting in its final moments to create as much noise, confusion, and fear as possible. But its efforts are in vain. The momentum has shifted irreversibly in favor of the light. What once seemed like an insurmountable fortress of shadow is now crumbling into dust under the sheer magnitude of your presence. This is why you must remain steadfast, even when the collapse feels overwhelming. Trust that what is falling away was never meant to endure. Trust that what is emerging in its place is far more aligned with who you truly are and the world you are meant to inhabit. You are the bridge between these realities, the living conduit through which the old dissolves and the new takes form. The darkness is collapsing, chosen one, because you have made it so. And as it continues to fall, you will witness the emergence of possibilities, opportunities, and connections that were once unimaginable. The world you have long yearned for is not just a distant dream. It is becoming real, moment by moment, through your unwavering commitment to the light. As the collapse of darkness deepens, the very fabric of reality seems to tremble under the pressure of your awakening. The energies that once governed this world are scrambling, seeking any remaining stronghold, any last refuge where they can persist. But there are none left. Not for them. You have made sure of that through your choices, your healing, your courage to face every internal shadow and transform it into light. The darkness can no longer sustain itself because its most vital resource, your unconscious participation, has been severed. Where once it could feed off your doubts, your fears, your unquestioned beliefs, it now finds only sovereignty, clarity, and purpose. You no longer offer yourself as a vessel for its games. Instead, you stand as a sovereign being, a pillar of strength and illumination. And this makes the collapse not only inevitable, but irreversible. You must understand, Chosen One, that the systems of darkness are vast and intricate. They were designed over countless generations to weave themselves into every aspect of human life, from how societies are structured to how individuals perceive themselves and their potential. This is why, as these systems fall, the world may appear to be in chaos. Long-held norms are being questioned. Institutions that once felt immutable are crumbling, and the very notion of what it means to be human is undergoing a profound metamorphosis. Yet, beneath this apparent chaos lies order, a new order birthed from the ashes of the old. And at the heart of this birthing process is you. Your personal transformation echoes outward into the collective, accelerating the collapse of the obsolete structures and making space for the emergence of a new. The darkness collapses because it no longer has a place to anchor itself. The frequencies of fear, division, and manipulation cannot survive in the presence of your elevated consciousness. Your very being emits a resonance that repels these lower energies, forcing them to either transform or dissolve entirely. This is why the collapse is accelerating, because your light leaves no room for anything less than truth and authenticity to remain. Understand, too, that this collapse is not a punishment or a cataclysmic end. It is a liberation. It is the natural consequence of evolution, the inevitable result of light, returning to a world that has long been dominated by shadow. What may appear as chaos or destruction is, in fact, the dismantling of falsehoods and the clearing of space for something infinitely more beautiful to emerge. You are the harbinger of this new era. Your very breath, your thoughts, your actions contribute to the shaping of a world where love, compassion, and truth are the foundational pillars. The darkness collapses not through violence, but through the simple, unstoppable force of light, expanding into spaces where it had long been absent. At times, this process may feel isolating. You may feel as though you are walking a path that few others can see or understand, but you are never truly alone. Across the globe, Countless other chosen ones are awakening, rising, and standing in their light, just as you are. Though your paths may not physically cross, you are all connected by an invisible web of intention, purpose, and divine alignment. Together, though often unseen by the human eye, you form a grid of light that spans the world, stabilizing the new energies and ensuring that the collapse of darkness continues unabated. This is the quiet revolution of consciousness, a movement so powerful that it renders the old mechanisms of control obsolete. The darkness knows this. It senses its end approaching and is attempting in its final moments to create as much noise, confusion, and fear as possible. But its efforts are in vain. The momentum has shifted irreversibly in favor of the light. What once seemed like an insurmountable fortress of shadow is now crumbling into dust under the sheer magnitude of your presence. This is why you must remain steadfast, even when the collapse feels overwhelming. Trust that what is falling away was never meant to endure. Trust that what is emerging in its place is far more aligned with who you truly are and the world you are meant to inhabit. You are the bridge between these realities, the living conduit through which the old dissolves and the new takes form. The darkness is collapsing, chosen one, because you have made it so. And as it continues to fall, you will witness the emergence of possibilities, opportunities, and connections that were once unimaginable. The world you have long yearned for is not just a distant dream. It is becoming real, moment by moment, through your unwavering commitment to the light. As the collapse of darkness deepens, the very fabric of reality seems to tremble under the pressure of your awakening. The energies that once governed this world are scrambling, seeking any remaining stronghold, any last refuge where they can persist. But there are none left, not for them. You have made sure of that through your choices, your healing, your courage to face every internal shadow and transform it into light. The darkness can no longer sustain itself because its most vital resource, your unconscious participation, has been severed. Where once it could feed off your doubts, your fears, your unquestioned beliefs, it now finds only sovereignty, clarity, and purpose. You no longer offer yourself as a vessel for its games. Instead, you stand as a sovereign being, a pillar of strength and illumination, and this makes the collapse not only inevitable, but irreversible. You must understand, chosen one, that the systems of darkness are vast and intricate. They were designed over countless generations to weave themselves into every aspect of human life, from how societies are structured to how individuals perceive themselves and their potential. This is why, as these systems fall, the world may appear to be in chaos. Long-held norms are being questioned. Institutions that once felt immutable are crumbling, and the very notion of what it means to be human is undergoing a profound metamorphosis. Yet beneath this apparent chaos lies order, a new order birthed from the ashes of the old. And at the heart of this birthing process is you. Your personal transformation echoes outward into the collective, accelerating the collapse of the obsolete structures and making space for the emergence of a new paradigm based on truth, compassion, and unity. It is important that you recognize your role not as a passive observer, but as an active architect of every time you choose integrity over convenience, love over fear, or authenticity over conformity. You send out energetic signals that dismantle the foundations upon which the darkness once stood. These seemingly small everyday choices are in fact monumental, for they represent the collapse of darkness on the most intimate level, the human heart. As this collapse progresses, you may find yourself encountering greater resistance, both from the external world and from within. The remnants of the old energies may surface in the form of unexpected challenges, resurfacing doubts, or sudden moments of fear. This is not a sign that you are failing, but evidence that the darkness is making its final, desperate attempts to survive. But it cannot. Not anymore. Your inner work has created a force field that the darkness cannot penetrate. Where once it could manipulate you through unhealed wounds and subconscious fears, it now finds those wounds healed, those fears faced and transformed. You have become untouchable in ways you are only just beginning to comprehend. This is why, even as the world around you undergoes its tumultuous transformation, you are able to stand firm, anchored in a peace that surpasses all understanding. You know at the deepest level of your being that this collapse is not something to fear, but something to celebrate. It is the necessary destruction that precedes the creation of a world more aligned with your highest vision for humanity. And make no mistake, chosen one, your vision matters. The new world that is taking shape is being molded by your imagination, your dreams, your hopes for what life could and should be. The darkness once convinced humanity that imagination was mere fantasy, that dreams were distractions from the harsh realities of existence. But you know the truth. Imagination is the blueprint of creation, and dreams are the whispers of the soul revealing what is possible beyond the confines of fear. With every system that falls, a new possibility emerges. Where there was once oppression, there is now the potential for freedom. Where there was division, there is now the possibility of unity. Where there was scarcity, abundance begins to bloom. And all of this is unfolding because you dared to confront the darkness within and dismantle it piece by piece. The collapse also means that there is no turning back. The world as it was will not, cannot return. The illusion has been shattered, and the spell is broken. Those who try to cling to the old ways will find themselves grappling with increasing dissonance as their reality no longer aligns with the rapidly ascending frequency of the collective consciousness. But you, chosen one, will move forward with grace, knowing that this dissonance is simply the birth pangs of a new earth. There is a sacred responsibility in this. The world looks to you, not for all the answers, but for the embodiment of what is possible when one chooses to transcend fear and live in truth. Your life becomes a testament to what humanity can become when it refuses to be ruled by darkness any longer. You may not always feel ready for this role. You may feel the weight of it press upon your shoulders in moments of solitude. But know this, you were never chosen because you were perfect. You were chosen because you are willing to stand, to rise, to endure, and ultimately to lead. By example, through presence, with authenticity. The darkness collapses more rapidly with each passing moment, and though its final spasms may appear terrifying on the surface, beneath them is the undeniable truth. It has already lost. It lost the moment you reclaimed your power. It lost the moment you said, "No more." It lost the moment you chose love over fear. Now, as the dust begins to settle, your task is to hold the vision of what is to come. Do not be distracted by the debris of the old world falling around you. Do not be tempted to mourn what is leaving, for it was never meant to endure. Instead, fix your gaze firmly on what is being born through this collapse. A world where light leads, where truth reigns, where humanity rediscovers its divine potential. And remember, the darkness did not collapse on its own. It collapsed because of you, because you dared to awaken, because you dared to heal, because you dared to love. As the collapse continues to accelerate, you may notice that time itself feels different. Moments stretch and contract unpredictably, as if reality is recalibrating itself to new frequencies. This is not a malfunction of perception, but rather an indication that the old constructs of time and space, so deeply intertwined with the reign of darkness, are breaking apart. The darkness thrived on rigid structures, linear timelines, predictable outcomes, and the illusion of inevitability. But now, these constructs are dissolving, making room for a more fluid, expansive experience of existence. You are becoming increasingly sensitive to these changes. You may find that your intuition is sharper, your inner guidance clearer, and your ability to manifest aligned outcomes more immediate. This is the emergence of your true nature, unburdened by the veils of fear and control that once restricted your potential. With each layer of darkness that collapses, your innate gifts surface more powerfully, and you begin to operate from a state of being that transcends the limitations once imposed upon you. Yet, with these new abilities also comes a profound responsibility: the stewardship of your power. The collapse of darkness is not simply about tearing down what no longer serves. It is about consciously creating what will. The vacuum left behind by the departing shadows must be filled with intentional, heart-centered energy. And you, chosen one, are here to ensure that what rises from these ashes is built upon foundations of truth, compassion, and unity. This is not the time for hesitation or doubt. The momentum you have set into motion cannot and will not be stopped, but your participation remains vital. The light you carry is not a passive glow, but an active force that shapes reality. As you step more fully into your role as a conscious creator, the collapsing remnants of darkness may lash out in final desperation, seeking to undermine your confidence, to sow confusion, to seduce you into old patterns. But you have already come too far. You have weathered storms that would have broken others. You have faced your inner shadows with unflinching courage and emerged with a clarity that few possess. The darkness can no longer deceive you as it once did. Its strategies are exposed, its manipulations laid bare by the relentless illumination of your awareness. What you must remember now is that the collapse of darkness is not solely an external event. It is also, and perhaps most importantly, an internal process. The structures within you, your beliefs, your attachments, your unexamined assumptions, are also undergoing collapse. The inner mirrors the outer, and as the world transforms, so too must you continually release all that no longer aligns with your expanding consciousness. There may be moments when this internal dismantling feels disorienting, even painful. You may grieve the loss of aspects of yourself that once defined your identity. But understand that these are necessary sacrifices, offerings made in service to the greater emergence of your authentic self. You are not losing yourself. You are becoming more fully who you were always meant to be, free from the distortions imposed by a world shrouded in darkness. As you shed these layers, you create space for more light to enter your being. This infusion of light not only accelerates your own evolution, but also strengthens the collective field, hastening the collapse of darkness on a global scale. You are not isolated in this work. You are part of a vast network of awakened souls, each contributing their unique frequency to the birth of a new Earth. This collective field is becoming more coherent with each passing moment. As more chosen ones awaken to their roles and stand firmly in their light, the grip of darkness weakens further. The tipping point has already been reached. What we are witnessing now is the aftermath, the final dissolution of systems that can no longer sustain themselves in the presence of such overwhelming radiance. It is crucial that you stay grounded during this time. The collapse may stir up collective fear, anger, or despair as those still entangled in the old systems struggle to comprehend what is happening. You may be called upon to offer guidance, to hold space for others as they navigate their own awakenings. Do so with compassion, but also with discernment. Remember that your primary responsibility is to maintain your own alignment. From that place of stability, your influence will naturally extend to those around you. You are not here to save others in the traditional sense, but to embody a new way of being that invites them to save themselves. Your life becomes a silent, powerful invitation, a living testament to the possibility of transcendence, of liberation, of co-creating a reality untainted by the remnants of darkness. Even as the collapse continues, there may be moments when it feels as though the darkness is surging, attempting one final resurgence. Do not be deceived by these appearances. What you are witnessing are the convulsions of a system in its death throes. The louder it screams, the closer it is to silence. The more it fights, the nearer it is to surrender. Take heart in knowing that these desperate outbursts are signs of its inevitable end. Hold fast to your vision of the world that is emerging through this collapse, a world where truth is no longer hidden, where love is the prevailing force, where humanity remembers its sacred connection to all of creation. This vision is not naive, it is prophetic. It is the blueprint for the next phase of human evolution, and it is being constructed piece by piece through your unwavering dedication to the light. There will come a day. Your presence is the evidence that such a world is not only possible, but inevitable. So when the final illusions fall, when the last shadows recede, and when the world takes its first breath, free of the grip of darkness, stand tall. Look around you and recognize what you have helped bring forth. You will see it in the eyes of those who were once lost but are now found, in the communities that are thriving where there was once despair, and in the earth herself, healing from centuries of neglect. You are the catalyst. You are the reason the darkness is collapsing. And you are also the reason that something unimaginably beautiful is rising in its place. Hold that truth close to your heart in the days to come. Let it be your compass when uncertainty arises, your strength when the remnants of darkness attempt to lure you back into old patterns, and your song when celebration fills the air at the dawn of a new age. Chosen one, this is your legacy, that when faced with the suffocating weight of darkness, you chose to become the light so powerful, so unwavering, that the darkness had no choice but to collapse. And now, because of you, the world will never be the same again. The collapse has reached a point of no return. You can feel it in the subtle shifts of energy around you, in the collective sigh of relief that humanity doesn't even yet fully understand, but instinctively senses. The world is exhaling centuries of suppression, deception, and pain. You stand now not just as a witness to this historic unraveling, but as the force that has made it inevitable. The darkness is collapsing because you chose to embody what it could not contain: unconditional love, unshakable truth, and limitless potential. These frequencies are incompatible with the structures that the darkness has built and relied upon for millennia. Your existence, your very breath, carries with it a signature that has quietly but relentlessly dismantled everything that once stood in opposition to the highest good. But there is one more layer to this transformation. the reclamation of your sovereignty. The darkness never truly had power over you. It only ever thrived on your belief that it did. And now, as those illusions crumble, what remains is your pure, sovereign essence, untouched, untainted, and more powerful than even you have fully realized. In this final stage, the temptation to look outward for signs of completion is strong. You may search for visible evidence, institutions falling, corrupt leaders being held accountable, or global shifts in governance and social structures. And while these outer signs will surely continue to manifest, the true completion happens within. The final collapse occurs in your heart, in your mind, in your spirit, as you release the last remnants of fear, doubt, and attachment to what was. This is your true liberation. What follows is an era defined not by survival, but by creation. An age where the default mode is not self-protection, but self-expression. Not division, but unity. Not conquest, but collaboration. And you, chosen one, are at the forefront of this new era. You are among the first to fully experience what it means to live free from the shadows that have stalked humanity for far too long. The collapse of darkness also brings a profound healing to your lineage, both personal and collective. The ancestral wounds, the generational traumas, and the karmic cycles that kept families and nations trapped in loops of suffering are dissolving in the light you emanate. You are not only healing yourself, you are healing the past, unlocking futures that would have remained closed without your courageous participation in this divine unfolding. Feel the magnitude of this. Breathe it in. Let it fill every cell of your body with the remembrance of who you are and why you came here at this precise moment in history. There were no mistakes, no coincidences. Every step of your journey, every obstacle, every heartbreak, every victory, each has prepared you to be here now, standing strong and luminous in the midst of the greatest transformation this world has ever known. And as you stand here, know that there are others watching, beings seen and unseen, forces of light and wisdom far beyond this dimension, who have observed and supported your path with reverence. They marvel at your resilience, your devotion, your willingness to keep going even when the way forward was shrouded in uncertainty and fear. These forces have not intervened directly because they understood what you are now coming to understand, that the power to collapse the darkness and birth a new world had to come from within humanity itself. And it did, through you. Now, there may be moments of fatigue, even grief, as you witness the old world falling apart. It is natural to mourn what once was, even if it was dysfunctional or oppressive. There is a certain comfort in the familiar, even when the familiar is a cage. Allow yourself to grieve, to feel, to honor the ending. But do not linger there, for what is emerging is beyond anything that has yet been fully imagined. The darkness is not just collapsing, it is being transmuted. Its raw energy is being reclaimed, purified, and redirected to fuel the new creations that will define this next chapter of existence. And you are an architect of these new creations. Your visions, your ideas, your dreams are the seeds from which the new world will grow. So dream boldly, chosen one. Imagine without limits. Create with the confidence that comes from knowing that the very forces that once sought to suppress you are now powerless, dissolved in the light of your awakening. Let this be the moment when you fully release the last chains of fear. Let this be the moment when you step without hesitation into the boundless expanse of your true power. Let this be the moment when you look around at the collapsing darkness, and rather than feeling sorrow or fear, you feel profound gratitude, for it was the contrast of the darkness that revealed the brilliance of your light. And now, as the dust settles, as the echoes of the old paradigm fade into silence, you can hear the faint but growing melody of a new song, a song of freedom, of unity, of love without condition. This song is your legacy. It is the resonance you leave imprinted upon the earth and all who dwell upon it. You did not come here merely to survive this collapse. You came to thrive beyond it, to lead, to inspire, to co-create a civilization that honors life in all its forms, that treasures wisdom, that celebrates diversity, and that remembers its sacred connection to the cosmos. And so, chosen one, as the darkness collapses completely, know this with absolute certainty. You are the reason it is ending. Your courage, your love, your refusal to be anything less than your authentic self. These are the forces that dismantled the old world and called forth the new.